What's going on? Why are you sitting on the roadside with your children?
We don't have food. We don't have a place to stay.
It's okay, I assured you. You don't have to worry anymore.
Thank you, Mom.
She picked a homeless woman off the streets out of kindness and brought her into her home. What Amara didn't know was that the same woman she saved would soon be sharing secrets, smiles, and her husband. Now, the love she trusted, the home she built, and the life she believed in are all hanging by a thread. Because sometimes, the greatest betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people you chose to trust the most. Sit tight, because I'm about to take you on a story full of twists and drama you won't see coming. Watch till the very end to catch every shocking moment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Tell us where you're watching from and what time it is when you're tuning in. Your thoughts might just be featured in the next story. Lagos never slept. From the shining towers of Lekki to the crowded streets of Ikorodu, life moved fast, unforgiving, and unpredictable. But for Daniel and Amara, life had always seemed perfectly aligned, like a dream carefully crafted and protected from the chaos outside. Daniel sat comfortably in his home office, his laptop open in front of him. His fingers moved swiftly across the keyboard as he wrapped up a virtual meeting. Dressed in a simple but expensive navy shirt, he leaned back in his chair with a satisfied sigh. "Another deal closed," he muttered with a smile. Across the mansion, Amara stood in front of a full-length mirror, adjusting her outfit. She was dressed in a fitted cream blazer and matching trousers, sharp, elegant, and powerful. As the CEO of a fast-growing logistics company in Lekki, she carried herself with confidence and grace. "Daniel," she called out. "In here," he responded. Moments later, Amara walked into his office, her heels clicking softly against the marble floor. Daniel looked up, and his face instantly lit up. "Wow," he said, shaking his head slightly. "My wife, the CEO, looking like she owns Lagos." Amara laughed softly. "Don't start. You're the billionaire here." Daniel stood up and walked over to her, gently holding her hands. "We both are. And we built this together." She smiled, her eyes softening. "Weekend outing, remember? You promised." Daniel sighed playfully. "Yes, madam. I remember." "Good. We need a break. No work, no calls, just us." "Just us," he repeated, nodding. An hour later, they were on the road, cruising through Lagos in their sleek black Benz G-Wagon. The city buzzed around them, cars honking, street vendors calling out, and the sun casting a golden glow over everything. Amara sat in the passenger seat, relaxed, while Daniel drove with one hand on the wheel. "So tell me," Amara said, smiling, "what exactly was so funny in that meeting earlier?" Daniel chuckled. One of the investors tried to negotiate like he was buying tomatoes in the market. Amara burst into laughter. "No way. I'm serious," he said. "Can we reduce it just small?" They both laughed, their voices blending with the rhythm of the city. As they drove further, the roads became less polished. The buildings looked older, less maintained. Life here was harsher, more visible. Then Amara's laughter slowly faded. "Daniel, slow down." Daniel glanced at her. "What is it?" "Just slow down." He eased his foot off the accelerator. Amara's eyes were fixed on something ahead. By the roadside sat a woman, her clothes worn and dusty. Two small children clung to her, their faces tired and hungry. The woman looked exhausted, like life had taken everything from her and still demanded more. "Stop the car," Amara said softly. Daniel hesitated for a second. "Amara, please, stop." He pulled over. Amara didn't wait. She unbuckled her seatbelt and stepped out of the car. The heat hit her immediately, along with a heavy scent of dust and sweat. But she didn't care. Her focus was on the woman. As she walked closer, the woman looked up, startled. Her eyes were filled with both fear and hope. "Good afternoon," Amara said gently. Good afternoon, Ma, the woman replied, adjusting the child on her lap. What's your name? Patricia, Ma. Amara crouched slightly to meet her eye level. Patricia, what's going on? Why are you here with your children? Patricia hesitated, her lips trembling. It's a long story, Ma. It's okay. Tell me. Tears filled Patricia's eyes. We don't have food. We don't have a place to stay. We sleep in an uncompleted building nearby. Amara's heart tightened. She glanced at the children. They looked weak, their clothes dirty, their expressions dull. How long have you been like this? She asked softly. Months, Ma, Patricia replied. I try to find work, but nobody wants to help. Amara swallowed hard, fighting the emotion rising in her chest. Back at the car, Daniel stood watching. His arms were folded, his expression unreadable. He trusted Amara's kind heart, but something about the situation made him uneasy. Amara stood up and reached out her hand. Patricia, stand up. Patricia looked confused. Ma, you and your children, you're coming with us. Patricia's eyes widened. Ma, It's okay, Amara reassured her. You don't have to worry anymore. Slowly, Patricia stood, holding her children close. They walked toward the car. Daniel opened the back door silently as they approached. Patricia and her children got in, still unsure if this was real. Amara returned to the passenger seat. As Daniel started the engine, he glanced briefly at her. Are you sure about this? Amara nodded firmly. Yes. He didn't argue further. Instead, he drove. The mansion gates opened automatically as they arrived. Patricia stared in disbelief as the car rolled in. Ma, she whispered. This place is your home for now, Amara said calmly. Tears streamed down Patricia's face. Inside, the house was even more breathtaking. Wide spaces, shining floors, elegant furniture. Amara led Patricia and her children upstairs. This will be your room, she said, opening the door to a spacious guest room. Patricia stepped inside slowly, as if afraid to touch anything. Feel at home, Amara added. Take a shower, rest, and we'll have dinner later. Patricia suddenly dropped to her knees. Thank you, Ma. God will bless you. Amara quickly helped her up. No, don't do that. It's okay. That evening, after they had cleaned up, Patricia and her children looked completely different. Fresh, calm, almost unrecognizable. They all sat at the dining table. Daniel watched quietly as Patricia smiled for the first time, her children eating happily. Amara felt a deep sense of satisfaction. This is why we're blessed, she said softly to Daniel. So we can help others. Daniel nodded slowly. Yeah, help others. But as he glanced again at Patricia, now clean, radiant in a simple dress, something shifted quietly in his expression. Something he didn't fully understand yet. And far beyond the comfort of that beautiful mansion, something had already begun to change. Something none of them could stop. The morning sun filtered gently through the tall glass windows of the mansion, casting a warm glow across the living room. Everything looked peaceful, almost perfect, just like the life Amara believed she had built. Amara walked down the stairs, dressed for work in a fitted navy dress that matched her confident stride. Her heels clicked lightly against the marble floor as she adjusted her wristwatch. As she stepped into the living room, she saw Patricia already awake. Patricia stood near the couch, looking completely different from the woman they had picked up days ago. Her hair was neatly arranged, her skin glowing, and she wore one of the simple but elegant dresses Amara had given her. Good morning, Ma, Patricia said respectfully. Amara smiled warmly. Good morning, Patricia. How was your night? It was peaceful, Ma. Thank you so much, she replied, her voice filled with gratitude. Amara nodded. You don't have to stress yourself too much, okay? Just focus on settling in. Yes, Ma. At that moment, Daniel walked in, holding his laptop. Morning, he said casually. Morning, Amara replied, turning to him with a soft smile. But Daniel's eyes didn't stay on his wife for long. Almost unconsciously, they shifted toward Patricia. Patricia quickly looked down, avoiding eye contact. Amara didn't notice. I'll be heading out now, Amara said, picking up her handbag. Daniel, don't forget your meeting by noon. I won't, he replied. She walked over, kissed him lightly on the cheek, and headed for the door. Take care, Daniel called after her. You too. Moments later, the sound of her car faded into the distance. Silence settled in the house. Patricia moved toward the television and sat down, trying to act normal. Daniel opened his laptop and sat on the opposite couch. But something had changed. The air felt different. Daniel tried to focus on his work, but his attention kept drifting. His eyes would lift from the screen and land on Patricia. She was simply sitting there, watching TV quietly. Yet there was something about her now, something he hadn't noticed before. Maybe it was the way she carried herself now, or the way the new clothes fit her, or the softness in her face that had been hidden under layers of struggle. Daniel shifted slightly, trying to ignore the thoughts forming in his mind. This is wrong, he muttered under his breath. But still, he looked again. Later that afternoon, Amara returned home with 2 large shopping bags. Patricia, she called out cheerfully as she entered. Patricia quickly stood up. Ma, welcome. How was your day? Amara asked. It was good, Ma. Amara smiled and handed her the bags. These are for you. Patricia's eyes widened as she opened them. Inside were beautiful clothes, dresses, shoes, and accessories far beyond anything she had ever owned. Ma, this is too much, she said, her voice shaking. It's nothing, Amara replied. You deserve to look and feel good. Overwhelmed, Patricia dropped to her knees. Thank you so much, Ma. Amara quickly pulled her up again. No, no. Don't kneel. Your family here. Daniel watched the scene quietly. But his thoughts were no longer as innocent as before. Days turned into weeks. Patricia settled into the house comfortably. She helped around when she could, cleaning, cooking, taking care of her children. Amara grew fond of her, trusting her completely. But Daniel was changing. One afternoon, Amara had already left for work. The house was calm. In the kitchen, Patricia stood at the counter, cutting vegetables for lunch. She wore a fitted dress Amara had bought for her, and her hair was neatly styled. She hummed softly to herself, unaware of the presence behind her. Daniel leaned against the doorway, watching her. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he stepped inside. You've changed, he said quietly. Patricia turned, startled. Sir, you don't look like the woman we met on the street anymore. Patricia lowered her gaze. It's because of Madam. She has done so much for me. Daniel walked closer. Yes, she has. There was a pause. You look good, he added. Patricia's heart skipped slightly. Thank you, sir. Daniel stepped even closer. You deserve more than this. She looked up at him, confused. Sir, I mean it, he continued, his voice softer now. You deserve a better life. And I can give you that. The kitchen suddenly felt too small, too quiet. Patricia hesitated. Sir, I don't understand. Daniel smiled faintly. You do. There was a long silence. Then Patricia spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I've noticed you too. Those words changed everything. Daniel reached out and gently held her arm. She didn't pull away. Instead, she stepped closer. And then they embraced. From that moment, a dangerous secret was born. Whenever Amara left for work, Daniel and Patricia found themselves drawn to each other. At first, it was small moments, conversations, laughter, stolen glances. But it didn't stay that way. They began spending more time together in the living room, talking freely, sharing stories, growing closer. Daniel made promises, about money, about changing her life forever. Patricia listened, believing every word. What started as gratitude slowly turned into something else. Something forbidden. One night, the house was silent. Amara lay asleep in the bedroom, her breathing steady and peaceful. Beside her, Daniel lay still. His eyes were open. He turned slightly, glancing at her. She was deeply asleep. Carefully, slowly, he got out of bed. Step by step, he walked toward the door, making sure not to make a sound. He opened it gently and slipped out. Downstairs, the living room lights were dim. Patricia was there, waiting. Their eyes met. No words were needed. But they weren't as alone as they thought. From a distance, Musa, the house staff, watched quietly. He had noticed the changes. The late-night movements. The strange closeness. At first, he doubted himself. But now, it was clear. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Musa stood in the shadows, his heart heavy. "Should I tell Madam?" he whispered to himself. He looked toward the living room again. And then he sighed deeply. "I have to." Because the truth, no matter how painful, could not stay hidden forever. And in that moment, the seed of temptation had fully grown into betrayal. A betrayal that would soon shatter everything Amara believed in. The days that followed felt normal on the surface, but beneath it, everything had already begun to crack. Amara remained the same loving wife, the same kind-hearted woman who believed she had done something beautiful by helping a stranger. She went to work every morning with pride, building her company, trusting fully in the home she had left behind. But inside that same home, something dark was growing. Musa could not sleep well anymore. Every night, he replayed what he had seen, Daniel sneaking out of his room, Patricia waiting in the living room, their closeness, their secrecy. It disturbed him deeply. He respected Amara. She had always treated everyone in the house with kindness and dignity. "She doesn't deserve this," Musa muttered to himself one morning. He paced back and forth in the compound, conflicted. "If I keep quiet, I'm part of the wrong, but if I talk, I might destroy her." He stopped walking. But the truth is already destroying her. She just doesn't know it yet. That was the moment he made his decision. Later that day, Amara stepped out of the house, heading toward her car. She looked elegant as always, her confidence radiating. "Madam," Musa called gently. Amara turned. "Yes, Musa. I need to talk to you." She sensed something unusual in his tone. "What is it?" Musa hesitated, his hands slightly shaking. "It's about Olga Daniel." Amara frowned slightly. "What about him?" Musa swallowed hard. "Madam, I don't know how to say this, but something is going on between him and Patricia." For a moment, the world seemed to pause. Amara blinked. "What?" "I have seen it with my own eyes," Musa continued carefully. "When you leave for work, they are always together. Late nights too." Amara shook her head immediately. "No, that's not possible." "It is, madam," Musa insisted softly. "No," she said again, more firmly this time. "I trust my husband. And Patricia, she wouldn't do that." Musa lowered his gaze. "I understand, madam. But if you don't believe me, I will show you." Amara crossed her arms. "Show me." "Yes," Musa said. "Next time you leave for work, I will call you. Then you can come back and see for yourself." Amara stared at him, her heart beating slightly faster. But she forced a small smile. "There's no need for that, Musa. I know my husband." "Yes, madam," Musa replied quietly. But as Amara got into her car and drove away, something had already planted itself in her mind. Doubt. At the office, Amara tried to focus. Papers lay in front of her. Her laptop was open. Meetings came and went. But her mind was elsewhere. Musa's words echoed repeatedly. Something is going on. She shook her head. No. Daniel would never do that. She tried to convince herself. But the thought wouldn't leave. Back at the house, the silence slowly turned into something familiar. Patricia sat in the living room, relaxed. Daniel joined her shortly after. "You've been quiet," he said, sitting beside her. Patricia smiled faintly. "Just thinking." "About what?" She looked at him. "About this life. Everything feels like a dream." Daniel leaned closer. "Get used to it. I told you, I'll change your life completely." Patricia's eyes softened. "You already have." Their hands slowly found each other. What started as a simple touch turned into something deeper. They laughed. They whispered. They forgot the world. Forgot Amara. Suddenly, Musa's phone vibrated in his hand. He stepped aside and dialed a number. "Madam," he said when the call connected. "Please come now." Amara didn't hesitate this time. Her heart was pounding as she drove back home. Her grip on the steering wheel tightened. "Please, let this not be true," she whispered. The car came to a stop outside the gate. Musa was already waiting. Without saying a word, he led her quietly around the house, toward a side window. "Look inside," he said softly. Amara's chest rose and fell rapidly. Slowly, she stepped closer. And then, she looked. Inside the living room, Daniel and Patricia were together. Laughing. Holding each other. Completely lost in their world. As if Amara didn't exist. As if her kindness meant nothing. As if her love meant nothing. Amara froze. Her breath caught in her throat. "No," she whispered. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. Her whole body felt weak. The man she trusted. The woman she saved. Both betraying her. Right in her own home. A tear rolled down her cheek. Then another. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. The pain was too deep. Too sharp. Too real. She stepped back slowly, unable to watch anymore. Musa looked at her with sympathy. "Madam," but Amara didn't respond. She turned and walked away. Step by step. Like someone carrying a weight too heavy to bear. Inside the house, Daniel and Patricia remained unaware. Still laughing. Still lost. Still blind to the damage they had caused. Amara got into her car and shut the door. The moment she did, she broke. Tears poured down her face uncontrollably. Her hands covered her mouth as she tried to hold back the pain. But it was impossible. "Why?" she cried softly. Her chest ached. Her heart felt like it had been torn apart. "I trusted you." The words barely escaped her lips. She leaned her head against the steering wheel, crying deeply. All the memories flooded back. The love, the laughter, the promises. All of it, shattered in one moment. Minutes passed. Or maybe hours. She didn't know. She just sat there. Alone. Broken. Lost. Finally, she lifted her head. Her eyes were red. Her face stained with tears. Her breathing was still unsteady. "What do I do now?" she whispered. Should she go back inside and confront them? Should she pretend she saw nothing? Should she walk away from everything she built? Her mind was in chaos. Her heart was in pieces. She looked at her reflection in the mirror. Strong. Successful. Respected. But in that moment, she felt none of it. Just pain. Just betrayal. Amara started the car slowly. But she didn't drive immediately. She sat there for a few seconds longer. Thinking. Fighting. Breaking. Then finally, she drove off. Away from the house. Away from the truth she wasn't ready to face. What do you think Amara should do? Comment below. Wow. What a roller coaster. What would you do if you were in Amara's shoes? Comment below with your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss more gripping stories like this. And tell us where you're watching from and what time. We love hearing from our audience around the world.